Welcome to Daily Focus. I'm thankful for another week that the Lord has given to us. I trust you can look back and not only see opportunities this week that the Lord gave you to serve Him and to represent Him and to present Him to a world that so desperately needs Him, but that you can also look back and see some growth in your own Christian life. Maybe some things that you've been asking the Lord to help you instill or to do. You've become more habitual, you've become more intentional. Maybe there's some things that you've been asking God to keep you from, and you've been victorious this week. And I think that it's important for us to be able to evaluate where we are and where we're going and how we're doing. And I think that the end of the week is a great time to do that, just like the end of the day. Oftentimes, I'll start the day, Lord, this is what I believe you want me to do today. Here's some things that I'm asking you to help me do. And then at the end of the day, I can evaluate that morning prayer and say, okay, did I do those things? And did God help me do the things that I asked him to help me do? And so I think evaluation is a very important part of honesty. It's a very important part of transparently walking with God and growing in grace and being honest about where we really are compared to where we would want people to think we are. And so morning devotions like the daily focus is just a chance for us to zero in and to think about things that are true and honest and just and pure and lovely. All these characteristics of Christ that are prevalent all the way through his revealed word. And so Psalm 125, I've taken a phrase out of this chapter and says, do good, O Lord, unto those that be good. So let me ask you, are you good? Are you doing good? Are you doing what's right? Because God can give us over to our sinfulness and take his hand off and no longer stay the judgment or the consequence that sin brings. And what a sad, sad place to be. And so we certainly want to do right. We want to be blessable. We want to accurately reflect the character of our Savior. And so Psalm 125 is going to say, they that trust in the Lord shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth forever. As the mountains are round about Jerusalem, so the Lord is round about his people from henceforth, even forever. For the rod of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous, lest the righteous put forth their hand unto iniquity. Do good, O Lord, unto those that be good, and to them that are upright in their hearts. As for such as turn aside unto their crooked ways, the Lord shall lead them forth with the workers of iniquity, but peace shall be upon Israel. So we see a lot in this short little psalm, but one of the things right off the bat is if you've ever been to Israel, and I've been there a few times, and I'm going to be taking a trip back the first part of 2024, and looking forward to being back in Israel. And if you're interested in going, you can certainly contact us about that. But as many times I've sat on the Temple Mount and I've rested in the realities of God's promises of Mount Zion. He said, nobody's going to take Mount Zion and throw it in the Mediterranean Sea. It's established. You're just not going to move it. Well, the same way is what is true about God is never going to change. It's never going to be moved. What is true about God isn't wishy-washy. It isn't circumstantial. It is not. It doesn't change from day to day or moment to moment as our fickle heart typically can. But God is sure, and he's a sure foundation, and we can be as sure in God's presence and God's promises and God's person as we can be watching Mount Zion never move. And he's going to just use that analogy to help us to remember that as God has decided, Mount Zion is going to be established forever. In fact, one day King Jesus is coming back at the end of the tribulation, and he's going to set up his earthly rule for 1,000 years on this earth from that location, from Mount Zion. And so it's established. and it's not changing. Well, neither is God and his promises or his purposes or his plans. They're established. He knows what he's doing. Now, the day-to-day things that we face and the unique trials that shape us and build our patience and endurance, those are going to come and go, and they're there for intentional purposes. Those purposes are to grow me into the likeness of Christ. That's what God is concerned about, is my maturity. I'm going to fail God here and there, and I'm going to be successful in my Christian life here and there. But God is less concerned about those nuances of the Christian life as he is about me growing in grace and maturing to be more like Jesus. That's the big picture. That's the purpose. So the trials and difficulties of life come and go, and they're unique in their scope, but they're all designed to make me more like Jesus. Why? Because that's never going to change. It says that as the mountains round about Mount Zion are there encompassing it, so God is encompassing our lives, and he's there all the time. He's not going away, and we should be able to see him in who he is and what he's doing, and constantly and confidently embrace that God is not going anywhere. From time to time, as I'm counseling, I'll have somebody say, I just feel like God is so far away. I feel like when I pray, he's a million miles away. When I call on him, that he's just so far away. And I will often listen for a while, and then I'll say to them, listen, can I just help you with one important part? God hasn't moved. So when we feel like God is a long ways away, chances are we're removing ourselves. We're distancing ourselves. God hasn't moved. Just like the mountains round about Jerusalem are not going anywhere, neither is God. He's not going anywhere. He's there. He's faithful. He's never going to leave us nor forsake us. He is there constantly with us. And so he is reminding us of his presence. And then he is reminding us of his power, and that is that the rod of the wicked cannot come against us. They're not going to destroy God's purposes and plans for us. They can kill the body, but we're going to be eternally with the Lord. And so we just have to remember that the wicked have no power over God and his purposes and plans for our life. They're perfect. And then we're reminded that in this, that the Lord is going to do good. He's going to be able to bless in amazing ways if we'll just do what's right and be blessable. Malachi says the windows of heaven are wanting to explode and bring forth blessing. But oftentimes our disobedience, our poor decision making limits God's options. And though he would love to bless us, he can't. And it's not because he doesn't want to, and it's not because he can't do it. It's just that he won't do it because we're not blessable. Our poor decisions do limit his options. And so the psalmist is saying, do good unto those that do good and be of an upright spirit or an upright heart. And then he says, but for those that want to turn astray, those that want to go their own way, they're going to be overtaken by the consequences of iniquity. And but peace shall be upon Israel. In other words, when people want their own way, they sign up for what sin can bring them. But they forfeit the peace and blessing of God that comes from doing what is right. And so do good, O Lord, unto those that do good. Let's just decide, you know what? Let's be blessable. Let's sign up and say, okay, God, I want to do right so that you can do all that you would like to do in and through my life. I want to be blessable. God bless you. I hope you have a great weekend. I'll look forward to seeing you again on Monday.